Is this a cool co-op game you should wishlist, or a game that you'll get bored of in an hour? And just to set expectations, I did play single player by myself, even though the game is designed for multiplayer in mind, so keep that in mind. Huge thank you to the developers Alien Trap for the free review copy. What kind of game is Dune Crawl really? It's an action sandbox, not a deep survival or narrative experience. As a solo player, the loop is pretty simple. You cruise the map on a massive crab fortress, destroy roaming vessels or other enemies, collect spark flies, upgrade your gear and your crab, and it's approachable, readable, and mechanically clean, and never tries to be more than that. Here's what makes it interesting, and what doesn't. The core hook of the gameplay really does work. You fight on top of a moving crab, you manage cannon fire, armor on the legs, positioning, bombardment of enemies, and trying to take out their crab. You use strange, playful equipment mid-combat, and there are some levels of management systems in play. But beyond that, there's nothing groundbreaking, nothing genre defining, just a solid, lighthearted, fun game. Which probably leads to, is this a serious game or a mess around game? Which is obviously a mess around game. At this point, you can see that the art style and the vibes are clearly playful and goofy. The story is light and honestly kind of easy to ignore, but the NPCs have funny little silly sounds, which is great. Audio cues push more goofy energy, and the tone never asks you to really lock in emotionally. And progression does exist, but mainly through upgradable gear, and never really feels like you're upgrading beyond just stat bumps. Which begs, how much content is there? There's a decent variety of equipment. There's multiple cannon type, crab leg armor upgrades, rideable beetles, cosmetic biome swaps between like a desert and sea. And there's kind of like 3 to 4 core locations on the map. You got like your little island-esque to explore that can delve into a cave system, which is like a puzzle usually that gives you some better piece of equipment for your crab. There's like taking out little small fortresses, and then like, doing the main boss mission once you collect enough fireflies. That's kind of like the loop of the game. I like the pacing of the game, but the Steam description that says it takes about 10 to 15 hours is definitely wrong. I beat the game solo in pretty much 6 hours. And yeah, there are more things to do to like 100% the game, but I don't really see it taking longer than 10 hours total. And you've seen almost everything the game has to offer by pretty much hour 2 or 3. However, I still like the pacing, and nothing overstayed its welcome, and nothing really surprises you later on either. Now in single player, you get an NPC buddy on the crab with you who can load cannons, heal the crab, defend the platform, and drive on autopilot if you set a waypoint. But in practice, when you're being bombarded by an enemy, you pretty much just park him on healing duty to keep your crab alive, and then you do everything else yourself. And the game is not that difficult, I would say, if you realize that. So it never felt totally overwhelming or stuck, because I wasn't worried about my crab dying with this NPC on heal duty. The difficulty is overall low mechanically, but combat still stays active and fun, and you do still require to know how to dodge enemy threats. Dodging is the name of the game, so you will have a little bit of a hard time if you don't dodge well. Here is where it's gonna really hurt. Did it hold my attention? And like the absolute honest truth is I was mentally done and checked out after the first hour. I did finish it anyway for review integrity and because my daughter loved watching me play it. This is important context though, because this is a great family-friendly game, and one that you can play with buddies, but it's not a solo obsession. And I legitimately wanted to try out the game because I was interested in the mechanics. I just wasn't sold by them when I actually played. Now, as far as the controls and the mechanical systems, the crab controls are intentionally weighty. You're juggling movement, body part health, loading the cannons, loading and like selling relics to merchants for more gold, which then buy more weapons. And then you can also do like a short movement boost to your crab by feeding him. So there are like a lot of mechanical things to do technically, but they don't really mesh together like how you want as a solo player. It is more role based if you have friends to play with. And for the overall combat outside of the crab, it is skill-based, more chaotic, and more dodge-heavy, where the weapons you find are really going to control how less of a battle it's going to be, because some weapons are obviously more overpowered than others, like the scattergun or the musket is way better than the bow. Do the cannons feel good to fire as well? I think the overall audio and the cannon style of firing feels good, but as a solo player, when you have to load them and then mount it and then aim and fire it all while being bombarded by multiple enemies, you're being swarmed and you really don't have time to really take use of the cannons as a solo player. So it's easier to fight with all of your equipment on your person and just ignore the cannons entirely for the most part in single player. Is the exploration worth it? Yes. This is one of the stronger parts of the game. There is a map where you can travel and you can find different little pieces of the map to explore, and you know, doing those things can give you like blueprints or weapons or expand your arsenal in different ways for you and your crab. And then there is a lot of weapon variety, like pistols, rifles, SMGs, spears, swords, crossbows, scatterguns, grenades, acid bombs, and you know, even more than that. You're always unlocking something, even if it's incremental, which leads to progression being straightforward and, you know, pretty limited. It's all through just the better gear. There are some talismans and stuff that give you some like little stat bumps, but that's all they are. Nothing that's really crazy. And customization is minimal with like 3 or 4 different crab colors and a mask. The overall world does look pretty cool in like the little cell shader style, but the world does feel mostly empty. It feels like you're just traveling from one spot to the next, and doesn't feel like there's too much to do from waypoint to waypoint, which means it's a backdrop and not really fitting in with the style of the game. But generally, I would say that this game is way better, probably with friends. Great for silly co-op sessions, of course, and not for serious solo players if you're trying to get something for yourself. What about you? Is this the game that you feel like you'd probably pick up? Just let me know in the comments below. Now look, if you're looking for a really great RPG to play, then click this video to see why Kingdom of Night will surprise you. As always, keep gaming and stay awesome.